All right, Brent Porcia, TopVelocity.net. 3x pitch biometric analysis here of David Aardsma, looking progression through this season. We've got last month, middle frame, recent, right frame, and then better version, 2009. Okay, so I want to really pair these two, the month aparts here. This is the last month, this is recent, and use this as kind of the gold standard of where we want to be. So we're going to be following the lower half initially in the delivery. Let's go 6 frames in. All these are 18 to front foot. Let me just make sure that this one's 18 to front foot. Yeah. Okay, 6 frames in. All of them at 6. Okay, so let's look where you are today. Hip was 11 inches from the rubber, and you're 10 here. So your hip's out a little more. And it's interesting to see too, your foot, so you're getting more tucked. So that's what we were working on, is keeping that lift leg tucked longer. So you're 28 inches with the left toe, but your hip's 11 inches. So 28 to 30. So you're 2 inches back on your left toe, 11 or 1 inch ahead on your hip. So that's awesome. I mean, that's definitely going down the right road. Glove side elbow, let's see, 26 to 27. So glove side elbow is actually, even though the hips are an inch farther, the glove side elbow is almost 1 inch back. So that's significant. Let's look here. Let's go back to Seattle. Seattle's 13 on the hips and 33 on the left toe. So your left toe, you're actually more tucked in your left toe today than you were in Seattle, but I think the knee might be more tucked. So the knee is 19 to your 19, so the knees are the same. So that's great. You got a similar front leg. Just look at the hip. The hip here is 34 inches from the ground, and look, 34 inches. So the only difference between you and Seattle here is that you were 2 inches farther with the front hip. So you're leading a little bit more. So I have a feeling tucking that leg or keeping that leg tucked longer and the glove side tucked longer looks like it's helping your hip lead harder. Let's see how that manifests on forward here. Frame 12 just before leg drive. Let's see, you're at 20 inches to last month 20. So you're about the same hip positions. Very interesting though, you're 2 inches or 3 inches more to the ground, lower to the ground than you were, and you can see it. You're squatting on that back leg better. Recent, so that's great. If we go to Seattle, you're 29 inches, so you're back to the same height. In Seattle, 29, except Seattle's 1 inch ahead. At this point, let's look at the glove side or left toe. 59 to last month's 60, so you're 1 inch behind on the left toe, and your hips are the same. Go back to Seattle though, 62. Seattle is actually 2 inches farther, so you're staying more tucked at this point, or not reaching out as early as you were last time. If we look at, we already said that too, your hips were 29. I mean, everything's pretty much syncing up except the hip is 1 inch ahead, so that's great. Let's look at the glove side. So the glove wrist is 47 inches from the ground. Seattle was 37. So you're still 10 inches higher on the glove side. Let's look at that left shoulder. 50 to 48. Your left shoulder's 2 inches higher. Your elbow 48 to 36, 10 inches. So your glove side is still going early at this point, but let's look at it was last month. So you're 1 inch lower, 45 to 46, but you're 1 inch higher with the elbow. So the glove side is still, looks like going early, and way more than Seattle, definitely. So that's one thing that we need to keep focusing on. I know that's a challenging piece because that one has more influence of shoulder positions, shoulder orientation, which is where accuracy is going to be. So I understand that. That's something we could work on. Let's move towards, let's go into front foot strike. But I mean, everything from the back leg to the front leg is identical to Seattle right now. Actually, a little bit farther back on the front leg, which I think is going to work out good. So let's get to front foot strike. Let's take the front foot strike here last month, and then front foot strike to Seattle. Left toe, see if stride length stayed the same, 76, 75, so you actually went 1 inch farther than last month, and you're 1 inch farther than Seattle. So you're later with it, and you're now striding farther. So I think that's the interesting thing here. The lift leg, holding the lift leg can give the opportunity to keep more load on the back leg, prevent early action in the back leg, and get more force production out of the back leg and increase stride length. So that was interesting to see. But I'd like to go back and see, when did this knee speed peak of the back leg? It hits a 4 there, 4.1, 4.2. So it hit a 4.2 at 14. Let's see what it did last month. 14, it was at a 5.1. So 5.1, and then went down to 3.8. So peaked a little higher, but yours peaks maybe just could be merging 2 frames here, because there's 2 frames here that are in the 4s, and there's only a 5 to 3 here. So, but let's look at what's interesting here. At this point, the back knee is starting to internal rotate. Look at the left toe; it's 69 to 69, so it's the same. But if we look at the right hip, it's 26 to 24. It's 2 inches ahead and 1 inch lower. So it's still better loaded and more abduction in that leg. I bet you those angles are going to be even different. Let's look at the angles here. .38 and that force vector at that point. Let me do that again. .41. So I would say there's definitely more abduction in the hip. So loading that hip and keeping the lift leg back longer allows you to get more abduction into that hip. Okay. But if we look at Seattle, if we go back to 14 with Seattle, you can see the knee speeds weren't really peaking as high then as they are now. Okay. Probably similar on the adduction angles. .41. Okay. Actually, yours better there. So I think you just got more energy late. So let's see, going into front foot, the hips hit a 4.4 here going into front foot. Your hips hit a 4.7 going into front foot. Last month hit a 5. Okay. Your hips are obviously going earlier here, but I didn't do the front views. I should have. It looks like you have more separation, so your hips aren't as early. Okay. Could be because you loaded the leg longer. Peaked the forces at the same time, but because your hips got lower, you got more abduction here. So more abduction, more, and so and less force production too maybe here. I don't know, but your hips are coming later. Could be related to either 2 of those. I don't know. Any theories on that, David? You might have, but because you're landing closed, you have more hip shoulder separation, and that's the one thing that is challenging. We can go early, go explosive, get a lot of energy through the hips, and if it goes a little early and we can't keep the shoulders back, then we open the shoulders too early. Even though we have a lot of energy through the hips, if we open the shoulders too early, then the energy hits the arm later in rotation, and we have less time to transfer the energy. So it's the challenge is we want the hips moving through, we just don't want it taking the shoulders too early. So if we have to delay the hips, or we have to peak forces later, or maybe even reduce force production, which I don't know. I don't know if we reduce force production. And if that allows us to keep the shoulders closed longer, and we get more horizontal abduction, the ball more behind the head, and we can load that all later, that is typically more beneficial because it's going to increase hip to shoulder separation. So let's see when your hip speeds fully peak. Hit a 5.5 next frame. So they slowed down. So you just peaked your hips earlier. Okay. So next frame here, they went down to 4.9. Okay. similar positions with hip to shoulder at this point. Here it was 4-4 was right when you landed, and the next frame kind of similar. I would say definitely have a better front leg force vector here to help continue to drive energy up the chain. So at 75, see how that's changed from last month until recent. 85, 80, so that improved. But still, we were 75, so you're still 5 degrees away here, which is interesting. I need to figure out the difference. It just could be the fact that maybe at this point at front foot, you might have been, let's see how much lower that, so let's say left hip was. Left hip was 24 inches from the ground to 24 inches from the ground. It could be just that you allowed your leg, your ankle to knee, your front force vector, you allowed it to get out a little farther, which is interesting because your stride length is 1 inch farther here. Could be, I'm not sure. Yeah, it looked like the hips. Look like the hips were probably the same. It's just I'm trying to figure out how your front leg force vector is more linear. Why it's getting more linear. Probably just a mobility thing. And well, you know, you just probably more limber than you are now. But it could be just you focusing on maybe landing a little bit more extended. I think it would support you, because I think you're going to get more extension here than you are today. Let's see as we go through. Let's watch the front knee. Let's see how it works. So here it's 63, 63. So it holds and goes back to 62. Here it is 64. So you can see the knee is more back. Okay, you're 1 inch forward, and then it went 65. It drifted a little bit, and it held, and it held. Okay, so it's a better knee. So I would want to be that 5 degrees back for you, because you could get more extension out of it. You definitely don't have the extension angle. So if we look at it right here, it's at 142 at pitch release. We look at it right here, it's at 131 at pitch release. Okay, so about 10 degrees difference. Let's look at it last month. It's better than last month though. At 118. Wow, big improvement. So I think we need to get that 1 inch back on the knee and 5 degrees on the front leg force vector. So I think it just goes back to you got bigger hamstrings now. But we need to allow that leg to not dramatically creep out, just a little bit, just 1 inch, or the knee come back 1 inch in that leg, which is probably a 1 inch difference is what it is. And I think that would be huge, because that's going to get you more into forward tilts as well. I mean, if we go here and we look at here, 47, 56, wow, 10 degrees off. And then right last month, gosh, not paying attention. Still the same. So you're the same, but you do have a more linear front leg, so you're probably getting more energy up. But this is huge. We got to get this force vector more linear, this knee back 1 inch, and that should push that trunk out a little harder. Let's see how your energy transferred in your trunk. Okay. Front foot strike. See here it was 45 inches from the target last month. Let's see, the after pitch release 68. So 55, 65. So that's 20, 23. And then today, a recent 47 to 70. So that's 23. So it's still 23. So that's the same. Trunk is identical. Stride was a little longer. Later transfer, more hip to shoulder separation. Okay, I'm still seeing more energy coming forward. You know, at Seattle you were 48 to 68, so you actually went not as far. You're going 3 inches farther. I think it's just because your chin's farther back now. Yeah, the chin's way farther back. Which, you know, here it is at 47, at 45. It's even farther back here. Okay, but I think that front leg being more linear here allowed it to travel even farther. Okay, I think you're dipping back more here because not as much energy coming into front foot. Kind of not as much, you know, momentum pushing you forward. So that would probably, I wouldn't want to change my position. That would get more vertical if I had more momentum down the mound. Okay, I think the key things that we could work towards is the glove side. Not letting the glove side go so early, go so high. Keep working on that. More energy down the mound should help that. More energy down the mound should help the trunk movement, as far as it getting more vertical and getting more forward tilts. Mainly, I wouldn't want to miss that without hitting the front leg more, getting more extended. 5 degrees more extension. It's just a matter of probably you letting your force vector get a little bit more extended. So feeling it in your hamstring a little bit more at front foot strike, as opposed to your quad. Let's try to hit with a little bit more load in the hamstring and the glute. So I see big improvements from last month to recently, and just keep on going along those lines. I think definitely on the right path.